Okay, Liv, if you take away the holding page, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. I am going to be using this speaker here because my hearing aids are broken and I can't hear a thing at the moment. So anyway, good morning. Thanks for joining us at our 15th Future South webinar. My name's Richard Hall. I know many of you on this call already. It makes me very, very proud to introduce the Cleantech South team today. Before I do that, I'd just like to say a few words about Future South and what we've been up to. I've been a member of Future South since 2014 and became a director in 2017. Future South has been going now for about 10 years. When we were set up, we were a very lone voice. We were there to try and persuade businesses that adopting sustainable, environmentally friendly practices, innovating new low carbon technologies, reducing energy, etc., would not only be beneficial for the planet, but also would benefit businesses and help them to reduce their outgoings. We were very much a lone voice back in the 2013, 2014. We managed to pull in about £6 to £7 million during that period of time to help businesses to set up the Hampshire Community Bank and to basically invest money in environmentally friendly, low energy carbon solutions. So we've probably helped over 250 to 300 companies during that period of time. The biggest achievement, I believe, as a director is that in 2015, 2016, we set up Cleantech South, which you'll be hearing more about. So I'm not going to steal the team's thunder because they'll be talking to you in the next few minutes about that. Future South is made up of directors. We've got, I think, probably a dozen directors. We've got members from Solent University, Southampton University, University of Portsmouth. We've got small businesses, one of whom has been instrumental in helping set up a railway line into Forley Waterside. We have a member from Forley Waterside. We've got the previous Southern Water Sustainability Champion, a member of Scottish and Southern Energy, other small businesses, and representation from all of the local authorities in the area. So we are a very, very strong team of individuals. I'll put the website into the chat box, so please come and have a look at that. This is our last webinar this year. We've done 15 so far, all on different topics. I'm going to hand you over to Matt Pullinger, who's leading the webinar this morning, to tell you a little bit more about Cleantech South. Please stick as many questions as you can into the chat box. I'll have a few myself because I actually retired from Cleantech South back in March. Seems a long time ago now. So this is our last webinar of the year. Please ask as many questions as you can. The whole aim of Future South is to help SMEs, small businesses. We're members of Clean Growth UK. We were founding members of Clean Growth UK, a nationwide network of universities helping small businesses. We're also members of International Cleantech Network, so we've got access to organisations all over the planet. So please make use of those facilities. Just about everything is free and most of the resources are free. But I'm now going to hand you over to Matt Pullinger because he's got a lot more to tell you. And he'll be introducing members of the Cleantech South team. So I'll see you again in about 30 minutes or so when we get to the question and answer session. So over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Richard, and thank you very much for that introduction. I'm just going to share my screen, so if you can give me a thumbs up, let me know you can see it. Yeah, great, thank you very much. Let's just minimize that down. Lovely. All right. Good morning, everybody. And as Richard said, my name's Matt Pullinger. I'm the Industry Liaison Officer for Cleantech South. And before I introduce the rest of the team, just wanted to have just a quick introduction as to what we're going to do today, which is to talk to you about the funding and the business support opportunities that is currently available through Cleantech South, which is there to help small to medium enterprises become more sustainable. So just a quick run through of the agenda for today, starting with an introduction to Cleantech South. From there, Hannah will run us through the energy efficiency audits and grants that's currently on offer through the Emphasise project, before handing over to James and Todor, who's going to take us through the first two work packages of the other ERDF project, Low Carbon Solent. Wilson will then highlight the support on offer through the innovation, audits and R&D grants, with Liv finishing off the day by discussing the marketing review service. And as Richard said, following that, we're more than happy to take any questions. So please whack anything in the chat as and when they come up. So the business engagement team, before I go into more Cleantech South as a whole. So it starts with our newly promoted marketing manager, Erin Leahy, who heads up the marketing department, along with our social media and comms officer, Olivia. And then moving on to the business support team. So we have Hannah, who heads up the business engagement for the energy audits and grants through Emphasise, along with James, Wilson and Todor, who work with businesses on the Low Carbon Solent project. So it's worth mentioning here that all 6 that are with us today are all Portsmouth University students, some on their placement year and some that have continued working with Cleantech South following their placement year, whilst also completing their final year of studies. And the aim is here that they use the knowledge and the experience learnt at universities in their degrees to help SMEs through their business needs. So for those not familiar with who Cleantech South are, or what we can offer small to medium enterprises, we are a technology and innovation cluster. As Richard's mentioned already, we were founded by Future South back in 2015, and we were established to support a network of like-minded businesses seeking to reduce greenhouse gas emissions whilst creating innovative low or zero carbon technologies and solutions. Richard's already alluded to the fact that in 2016, Cleantech South were the first UK energy and environmental cluster to be recognised by ESCA, and we were also the first UK member to be invited to join the International Cleantech Network in 2017. 2018 did see the formation of Clean Growth UK, which is a university-led business network, which Cleantech South were and still are founding members. And in 2019, we launched the 2 ERDF projects, Emphasise and Low Carbon Solent, which we have continued to deliver during the last 2 years of restrictions. So since being established, we've secured over £15 million worth of investment to support the transition to a zero carbon economy, along with £55 million worth of inward investment. We've helped to safeguard and create over 300 jobs, and to date have supported over 400 businesses. So I just thought I'd add some pictures of the team in action. So going back from mid-2019 to current date, we've supported numerous climate marches. We've hosted various pitching sessions for innovative SMEs, so that includes to local authorities, to university academics, along with various investment opportunities. We also visit and gain access for our SMEs to the valuable academic resources. So we've got the picture there, the Port Eco House, which there'll be a bit more information on later, along with other resources such as the VR lab over in the CCI department. We also visit and work with local businesses. So we've got 2 business visits there. One's a company based in Havant, which again, we'll learn a bit more about. And then there's the classic man in a shed, who's just jumping on innovations to test them and just help them get those closer to market. So something else that we like doing is hosting and attending events. There was numerous events that we hosted before lockdown. We continued that online during lockdown, and then we've just started to attend events since coming out of lockdown. And we also host a number of workshops to help SMEs. So I've just added a couple of quotes onto this slide to highlight why we work with SMEs. SMEs make up 99% of the UK's economy, and the support that we have through ERDF is for SMEs. So we have the impact here that SMEs can have on the economy, and collectively the impact that they can have on the environment by recognising their own carbon footprint, especially after the recent COVID-19 lockdowns. And this can be reflected in an array of government policies, including the Industrial Strategy Grand Challenge that's focused on clean growth. So before I go on, I just wanted to touch on, I think it's important to touch on the ERDF eligibility along with state aid guidelines. So the support is available for any English-based and registered small to medium enterprise, which is defined here on the slide by staff headcount of less than 250 full-time employees, company turnover of less than 50 million, along with a balance sheet total of less than 43 million. And it's worth noting here that this support is also available for any charities, but they must be involved in some sort of economic activity, and again, must also fit this SME criteria. So this support, although it is completely free to the business, the support that's been delivered is deducted from each business's de minimis or GB 28 allowance. This is €200,000 over a rolling 3-year period. And this stipulation has been put in place by the EU to ensure that no advantage can be secured by companies that are benefiting from this state aid support. Now, the team has a lot more guidance and experience in the state aid element of things. So please, if you are interested in getting any support, just give us a call and we can run through this in a bit more detail. But it is vitally important that any potential funding applied for, including the energy efficiency audit, which is valued at £1,500, must be evidenced to make sure that we don't go over these allowances. So before I do a quick introduction into the 2 ERDF projects in full, one of the questions that we always get asked is what's going to happen following ERDF with Brexit. And the most recognised answer at the moment is the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which is expected to come into effect from spring, summer next year. And it's aiming to ramp up spending to around 1.5 billion a year, and has been promised, we hear, that it will at least match current EU spending, and it will be, with investments will be aligned with the government's net zero objectives. So the fund is expected to support places most in need, and it will continue to include the innovation support along with aiding the adoption of new technologies to a zero carbon transition. And it will also support people by focusing on employment and skills programs, which is hoped to overcome shortages in the labour market. So before I hand over to the team to discuss the projects in more detail, I just wanted to break down the 2 ERDF projects by the support on offer. So starting with Emphasise, this supports SMEs who are committed to reducing their carbon footprint with a series of free energy audits and energy grants to help us reach our 2,000 tonne CO2 reduction target, along with a series of R&D innovation grants. Low Carbon Solent provides a series of networking events and workshops, which is aimed to assist SMEs to commercialise and protect their innovations, amongst other areas of support, along with facilitating access to postgraduate research student projects. Low Carbon Solent also offers R&D innovation grants of up to £9,000. Both projects also offer our unique marketing review service, which Olivia will run us through a bit later on. So that's all from me, and I'd just like to pass over to Hannah to take us through the energy audits and grants. Hannah.
Thank you, Matt. Morning, everyone. My name is Hannah Almeu, and I am the Innovation Assistant on the Emphasise project at Cleantech South, and I am currently doing a placement year with the team. Next slide, please. So as Matt mentioned, I'll be speaking to you about the free energy efficiency audits and grants that we have available. And the CO2 savings that we plan to achieve will be done through a number of free energy efficiency audits, which are delivered by GEP Environmental and are all valued at £1,500, which will come out of the SMEs de minimis allowance. We also provide grant funding of up to 36% of total project costs of up to £25,000, which is about £9,000 max of funding roughly. And this can be used to implement technology to help businesses reduce their energy usage as well as their carbon footprint. So here you can see the process of how to obtain a free audit. And the first step would be to fill out an expression of interest form on our website. Following that, we would arrange a meeting to discuss things further and ask you to fill out an application form to join the program, which just covers eligibility and make sure that you fall under the scope of what an SME is. Following that, we would then pass you over to GEP Environmental, who will request some data from you and schedule a site visit. Following the site visit, they will then issue you with an in-depth audit report and provide you with some recommendations that you may wish to implement later. And from the audit, if you have any questions, then you can get in contact with GEP Environmental, who will be happy to go through any things you don't understand in the audit or just want some more clarification. Next slide, please. So during the audit, areas of the business that GEP will be interested in looking at include insulation, windows, heating, ventilation, as well as behavioral changes and company vehicles. This isn't an exhaustive list, and the audit carried out will depend on the business itself. Next, please. So the audit report will provide SMEs with recommendations of changes that can be implemented to reduce a business's energy usage. And this could include LED lighting, which proves to be a very popular choice for a lot of SMEs due to its potentially high energy savings and low payback periods. Some other recommendations that they will make may include solar panels and battery storage, heat pumps, upgrades to insulation, as well as electric vehicles and EV charging points. Next, please. Here we have a breakdown of what the audit report looks at. So it will just go into the energy analysis, action plan, recommendations of things that you can implement within your business, and also includes capital and operating costs, as well as financial and CO2 savings, and any potential risk factors. Next, please. Following the audit, if there are any recommendations that are made within the report that you would like to implement within your business, you can then go on to obtain a grant to help you make these changes. So as mentioned earlier, the grants are funded at 36% of total project costs of up to £25,000, and all payments are made in arrears. So if you haven't already done so, the first step would be to fill out an application to join the program and have a meeting to discuss what it is that you're looking to do. And following this, you would then have to obtain 3 quotes for the equipment that you would wish to install within your business and select which one you would want to go with and provide a justified reason as to why you'll be going with that. Grant application will then need to be filled out detailing what the money will be spent on, as well as the benefits and the CO2 savings that it will have on the business. Following this, it will then go on to be reviewed by our independent panel, who will look at feasibility to achieve these savings and the value for money per ton of CO2 that it has. Once approved, a grant funding agreement will be awarded to the SME, and only once it's been agreed by both parties is when any costs can be incurred by the business. So once the costs have been made, the business will then need to evidence that the money has left the business, and only then can the funding be provided to the SME. Next slide, please. Here we've got a couple of examples of case studies, businesses that we've worked with in the past. So the first one is a furniture manufacturer based in Hampshire who has installed 20k worth of LED lighting across their warehouse, factory, and offices. And here you can see that they've been awarded just over 7k worth of funding, which has helped them to reduce their payback period to just 14 months and has saved them 60 tons of CO2 per year. Next slide, please. We also have another company here, which is a retail outlet in Winchester, who installed LED lighting in their warehouse, along with batteries for their existing solar array on the roof and an EV replacement van. So this process has managed to save them an estimated 25 tons of CO2 per year and over £500 in energy costs, which has saved them an estimated 6.5 megawatts per hour of self-generated energy. That's it from me. I'd like to now hand it over to James, who will talk to you about our networking events and workshops.
Thank you very much, Hannah. So my name is James. She said, I'll be talking about the networking events and workshops. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So at the moment, we've been attending both online and in-person events as COVID sort of having less of an impact on business. And I really like the hybrid effect. The logos you can see on the slide are some of the in-person events we've attended. You might have also attended there. And we frequently will have booths or we will present at these events, and businesses that we work really closely with can also share in this opportunity with us, which is a great way to create awareness for your products and to also promote yourself as well. But even if you don't present or have a booth, they're just a great opportunity to network with other contacts and find out what other businesses are doing. You could find another business that what they do works really well with what you do, and then perhaps that could fit into your supply chain, making your overall business more sustainable. But I also think it's great just to find out what other people are doing, because Toda will go in more detail about this later, but we worked with a business who were reducing heat loss from a house, focusing on the keyhole, which is a problem I had no idea existed, but it turns out it makes a huge difference. So I like sort of figuring out sort of how much of a difference, sort of the small things that businesses are focusing on. Some of the other events we've attended include the Future of events from Clean Growth UK. These run every sort of 3 months and they're focused on a certain topic. So there's been the Future of Food, which has been focused on food waste and sustainable agriculture. And then there's been the Future of Cities, which is focusing on making infrastructure in cities more sustainable. Next slide, please. And we've also been running workshops. It took us a while to figure out how to run these workshops. So the first one we ran was in October, that's just been. That was a 12-hour marketing workshop that was spread out over 4 sessions. So people weren't just sat there for 12 hours, don't worry. But that was a marketing workshop that was run and it was really well received. I actually attended a similar session by them in May because I'm a marketing student. So I went there just to see if what they were doing was of any interest to us, and it was really good, which is why we got them involved in October. And then we also ran intellectual property workshops, which finished a couple of weeks ago. And I know that intellectual property is something that businesses can really struggle with, so that's why we run those workshops. And as you can see from the quotes on the screen, they've had some really positive feedback. We are currently looking into running more workshops after Christmas. I think sort of Christmas is that period of time where everything sort of stops for a few weeks. So we're looking into after Christmas at the moment. And as a member of Cleantech South, you will be notified about any workshops and events that I talked about earlier and where they're going to be. And also as a member of Cleantech South, you will get access to these events for free. Sorry, the workshops for free. The events are a case-by-case basis based on who's running them. But the workshops will be free. It just requires a bit of paperwork, but our team will help you out with this paperwork. We know the paperwork really well, so we'll always help you out with that. But also as a member of Cleantech South, you can benefit from letting us know what you'd like help with. If there's something that your business is really struggling with, we can always you can get in contact with us and we can organize a one-on-one session with an expert, or if it's something that a lot of people struggle with, we can look into running a workshop on that. So our job is to support, similar to Future South, is to support SMEs focused on the clean growth industry. So thank you very much. I'm now going to be handing over to Todor, who will be talking about the student project.
Hello everyone, and thank you, James, for introducing me. My name is Todor, and I am a Business Innovations Advisor at Cleantech South. I will be talking about Work Package 2 today, which is the postgraduate student projects. So Cleantech South offers postgraduate student projects as part of our low carbon student program. Thanks to our collaboration with the university, we are able to offer companies access to university's resources through student projects. To help you understand the idea, if a business wants to undertake a research on their product but lacks the equipment or resources to do that, they can submit a project proposal to us. The students then get that project as part of their course, and at the end of the assessment period, they get marked on their work, while businesses get the outcomes of the research. Some of the benefits, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Some of the benefits of this project include businesses getting devoted people to research their products or ideas for free, while the students get the chance of working on a real-life industry projects. Projects like these are beneficial to students as they give them a taste of what an industry project looks like. This experience is invaluable to them, and students are often eager to undertake such projects. This has proven to be a very successful practice for both parties involved. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So more about the process. The first step a business has to take is contact us. After receiving their expression of interest, we send them an application to join the program. Once they fill the application, they can submit their project proposal. We forward that to an academic who evaluates it. And if they like the project, they give it to their students as part of their module assessments. Once the assessment period is over, we send the results to the company. And now a few examples of successful student projects. Next slide, please. Our first example is Smart Louver. So more about this business. This business is based in Haven, Hampshire. They manufacture solar heat screens to prevent the greenhouse effect in glass-fronted properties. This is achieved by a patented woven metal fabric that reduces the amount of solar heat penetrating the window and reduces air conditioning usage by up to 70%. Following a pitch to a number of university academics, helped by a master's marketing student, Smart Louver were invited to install their screens into the Port Eco House for a series of testing to measure the difference between rooms with and without them installed. These findings are then used to help promote their product. And for our next example, next slide, please. This is the cylinder cover company. This is in an insulated home, approximately 35% of heat is lost through walls, 25% through the roof, and the remaining heat is lost through doors, windows, and the floor. CCC, who are based in Blackburn, have developed a device to help reduce these losses by concentrating on the gaps left in doors by the locks, as you can see on the picture, in the first picture. The postgraduate student project has helped them to calculate exactly what savings can be achieved by their device, which has now given them the data they need to create a prototype for further testing, and in turn, search for business partners and investment opportunities. And on the right, we can see a quote receipt from the business on the value that the project added to them. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will now be handing over to my colleague Wilson.
Thank you, Todor. As Todor mentioned, my name is Wilson. I did a placement year for Cleantech South last year, and I extended my year doing part-time while continuing my studies this year. Next slide, please, Matt. So what is the purpose of the low carbon solar innovation grants? Well, we aim to take innovations closer to market and help businesses commercialize their product, as well as other areas such as development and R&D. We can fund projects up to a total amount of £25,000 grant costs with a rate of 36%, as well as new smaller grants that we are hoping to introduce soon with a total cap of 5,000. These are aimed at being faster to apply for and aimed at covering smaller items such as IP audits. The timing of grant applications can be as quick as possible, depending on businesses and how they get their forms back to us. The fastest that we can do this turnaround is around a month from first meeting to approval. As I mentioned, the approval is the most important part of the grant application process and allows businesses to go and spend the money that they've applied for. At the moment, we have around an 85% approval rate at panel, and this is due to the amount of support we give out as the LCS team. Next slide, please, Matt. So how can we apply for an LCS innovation grant? To start with, we need to fill out an expression of interest form like all the other parts of the project mentioned before. From here, we will use this expression of interest to gauge what area of support might be most beneficial to businesses and set up a meeting, which is often held on Google Meets. From here, we'll help businesses fill out any relevant forms required to go through the grant application process and prepare them to present to our panel. At this panel presentation, more will be explained later on in my slide deck, but the whole aim is to get approved by our panel of academics and business representatives. On the left, we can see a quote on why we also offer innovation grants to businesses in the UK region. Next slide, please, Matt. So a successful case study. Blue Dolphin are in the area of electric aviation, and we provided them with an innovation grant to help them do R&D testing at the University of Warwick. This helped them, as can be seen in Dan Horseman's quote from Blue Dolphin, as well as helping them provide proof of viability to take their product to market. On next slide, please, Matt. Here's 4 more case studies of success stories that we've had through the Low Carbon Solent Grant Scheme. Interestingly, all 4 of these have been backed through Kickstarter funding, which is something that we do have experience and can offer help in as well. Using their Kickstarter funding, all these businesses applied for grant funding through Low Carbon Solent to help the money go even further with our 36% grant opportunity. Fussy created reusable deodorants, reducing plastic waste. Similarly, Said for Scrubbers Up, who provided shower scrub with the plastic waste again. Airhead created innovative, pollution-free and pollution-resistant masks, whereas EcoTooth generated the world's first eco-sustainable toothbrush with a replaceable head to reduce plastic waste. Next slide. Finally, as I mentioned before, the project selection panel is the key to our application process. It offers businesses with a wealth of support from business representatives and academics to the University of Portsmouth, and can help spark conversations with University of Portsmouth academics, potentially leading to further projects with just one-on-one support. As well as this, there's a wealth of feedback provided from these academics and business representatives on business presentations and the overall viability and ideas behind the project. This is often what the businesses get the most support out of from our whole programme, and we offer support all the way up to this stage with mock run-throughs of slide decks, as well as support on the slide decks themselves. I'd like now to pass over to Liv, who will be talking about the marketing side.
Thank you, Wilson. Yeah, hi. So I'm Livia, and I'm currently placement on at Cleantech South as the social media and communications officer. And I'm going to be talking more about the marketing review service. So next slide, please, Matt. So who is it for? Pretty simply, it is for small and medium enterprises, but more about what this service is. Next slide, please, Matt. So from this service, SMEs can gain pretty much whatever marketing information or advice that they want. So whether that's something specific, for example, how to kickstart their marketing strategy, or whether to know if they're on the right track, if they already have a marketing strategy in place. We can also help if they're missing out on something, identify potential faults in their strategy, and also we can reveal what can be done to improve their marketing strategy. Next slide, please, Matt. So the process is pretty simple. There's 2 steps. They simply fill out a short form that you can find on our website, and I will also drop the link in the chat box, pretty much providing us with information on your business and your current marketing strategy. And I just think it's important to say that any information that is provided is only seen by members of the Cleantech South team. Step 2, from that information that you've given us, we will get back to you to schedule a meeting and to discuss our advice. And from our advice, then you can implement this in your marketing strategy and watch your business grow and prosper. Next slide, please. And this is some example of a successful case study, EcoTooth, as previously mentioned by Wilson. And as you can see on the left-hand side by Joshua Oates, the co-founder and CEO of EcoTooth, has said that Cleantech South has provided a professional marketing review for them, and we've helped dive into the digital forward-facing real estate. And some feedback from our marketing review service feedback form that we send out. As you can see that Joshua has scored us 5 stars in all areas for the process, the video meeting that we do, the PDF document, and the overall satisfaction being all 5 stars. So to sum up, this consultancy service is formed to help you and your specific company needs. So whether that is seeking something specific or just need general help, then fill out the short form and do let us know. Thank you.
Right, That's everything from us today. I would like to ask some of my team to put the expression of interest link into the chat, and Olivia is also going to drop the link for the marketing review service into the chat as well. So if there's any interest there, please do get in touch with us. We've also got various other means of getting in touch with us there, either through email, check out our website, or we're on Twitter and LinkedIn. Not sure why there's the tooth logo there, and that should be the LinkedIn and Twitter one there, so apologies for that. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank Richard for giving us the opportunity to present not only Cleantech South, but the 2 ERDF projects that we're currently working on. And also a big thanks to the team for coming along and presenting their various areas of expertise. So thank you again, and I will hand back over to Richard.
Thanks very much, Matt. Really, really good slides. Very, very clear. Well done. Your team have done a really good job, especially as they're all working from Bulgaria to Wales to Bristol and other places like Portsmouth, etc. So well done on that. Very quick question from me before I pick up some that I've got from a WhatsApp group I'm in, is one for Liv. The marketing review, is that completely free? It is free, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I thought you said that, but I wasn't too sure. Question then for Wilson. Where are you, Wilson? Oh, yeah, top right. You said in your presentation it takes, or the best case scenario, it takes 4 weeks to get from meeting you or filling in a form to actually getting in front of a panel. Is there, do you actually have to present to a panel, or is it all done by paperwork? And follow-up question, 4 weeks is possibly the quickest, but what would you say is the sort of typical turnaround time?
Sure. So to start with, the panel is only a viable option for the grants that are up to 25,000. So to be approved for them ones, we have to put you to our project selection panel. For the smaller £5,000 grants, we have a offline selection panel of 3 academics at the University of Portsmouth who approve applications based on the grant application form and other items such as Gantt charts. In terms of the time, it all depends on how fast a business is willing to work with us and get their paperwork back. So we can work at the same speed that a business is willing to get their paperwork back to us. We hold the panels monthly. So if a business was to get all the paperwork back to us in 2 weeks from initial contact, then we can put them in for the panel in the next month. Whereas if it takes 8 weeks to get it back, we can put them in for the panel 8 weeks time. So it all really depends on when best suits the business in terms of presentation time, but also how fast they're able to get the paperwork back to us.
Okay, no, that's good. And your panels take place once a month for the physical ones?
Yeah, once a month, most commonly on the first Wednesday of the month, but it does sometimes vary to the second Wednesday.
Okay, and your 85% success rate is very, very high for grants. I mean, how does that compare to, say, Innovate UK or other grant providers?
I wouldn't be able to quote exact numbers, but I do believe Innovate UK is somewhere around the 30 to 40% region and may require more work. Lower.
Actually around about 10%, but it's much, much lower than that and much harder to get through. So you're doing a really good job on that side. Thanks, Wilson. A question that's come up for Hannah. I run a small business from home. Is there any point in having an audit or a grant?
If it's like, if there's certain things that you know you want to implement already, then we could be able to provide a grant funding. Let's say you wanted to get a EV vehicle for your company, then we could help get you a funding for that. But in terms of an audit, I'd have to pass that question on to Matt. So I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. It's so the support through the energy efficiency audits is primarily for business premises. The issue and the difficulty that we got from a home-based business is it's not a business premises 100% of the time. And obviously with the RDF regulations, the equipment and the installations that are being put in it can only be used by the business. So it's a very difficult line to draw from when the business is going to be benefiting from those installs, and then when the home will start benefiting. So obviously, if you've got an air source heat pump going in, there's no way that you can evidence the fact that only the business is going to benefit from that. Same as an EV charging point. If you've got an EV that's primarily for business use and is going to be only using that EV charging point, then there could be an area to argue for. But if that electric vehicle is owned by the business owner, then obviously they're going to be using that vehicle for other reasons. It's a very, very fine line. So we tend to say that this support is only for business premises, and we rule out home businesses. We have had various discussions with other schemes such as Locase. And again, there can be conversations to be had, but there is a lot, there's absolutely no guarantee that we'll be able to get that through the eligibility criteria. And yeah, with the paperwork that's involved, 9 times out of 10, we just say no. We just stick to the business premises in general.
Okay, and that's fair enough, Matt, isn't it? I mean, you have a finite amount of money. You've got to get as much energy reduction as you possibly can.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Actually, where you're putting in LED, then that's obviously going to be much more effective than me sticking air source heat pumps outside my house. So, okay, thank you for that. You also touched upon Locase. Bearing in mind the Prosperity Fund that you mentioned earlier, do you think that this is going to be continuing then?
Yeah, I mean, so the 2 projects that we run through Cleantech South, Emphasize ends September next year, Low Carbon Solar runs until December next year. So as far as we are concerned with the 2 ERDFs, that's all wrapped up. There are discussions about getting in extensions because of the delays that were brought in through COVID, but with MHCLG and ERDF, nothing's guaranteed. So I don't want to speculate on that any further. Locase, they're in their 3rd round of funding. For those that are not familiar with Locase, they were set up for just the southeast in Kent, so they're Locase across the southeast. Now they've opened up their borders because they've got another round of funding, much more than us, but they've got a lot more targets as well. So they're now low carbon across the south and east, and they're stretching all the way over to completely Hampshire, all the way to the New Forest, Isle of Wight, basically anything, south of London really, and they're running until 2023. Now we work in conjunction with Locase, where our grants are capped at 20 for projects up to 25,000 and a grant of 9,000. We can then refer over to Locase, who run a very, very similar. I think they go up to 10,000 and have a slightly higher intervention rate of 40%. So the issue we have there, and again between our own 2 projects, is that you can't use EU money to match fund EU money. So if you wanted to install PV on the roof of your factory, say for example, you wouldn't be able to get an Emphasize grant and a Locase grant to fund that PV. But what you could do is use Emphasize funding to install PV and then Locase funding to install the battery, for example. So there is a lot of synergy between the 2. Like I said, we finish in September 22. Locase goes until 2023. Following those projects, I know there are various other ERDF projects around the country, depending on postcode boundaries. But to answer the question about what comes next, like I said, as far as I'm aware, we haven't seen anything else yet other than the Prosperity Fund. And the details that I've shared are pretty much all we have at the moment. Be more than happy to hear from anybody if they've got any further information. But yeah, in accounts to the 3 ERDFs, it's 2023.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks, Matt. And I know from experience that you've got a very, very good team for guiding companies through that. So if anybody on the webinar knows of a company or has their own company, then they really should become a member of Cleantech South and fill in the expression of interest form and get the ball rolling as far as that's concerned. I personally can't believe that the funds will dry up, certainly after COP26 and everything else that the government have been saying. It sounds like this sort of funding is going to be here to stay. So when you've got Cleantech South with the experienced team helping you through that process, then people should join in ASAP. Somebody stuck a question in the, or sorry, put a comment in the chat box amongst some rather bizarre things there earlier on, so apologies for that. Asking about the recording. So just to let you know that that will be online once the team have managed to process it. So it'll be on the Future South website probably end of this week. So I'll let you know when that happens. I don't think I have any more questions on my WhatsApp group. Oh yeah, sorry, I do have one here. You mentioned state aid, Matt. What's the ruling on de minimis? I know that it can be quite complicated. Can you just spend a minute or two explaining that?
Yeah, I mean, de minimis and GB28, the two state aid schemes for any company based in the EU or the UK. Basically, GB28 is for innovation support. So any of the workshops attended, any of the networking events that James mentioned, that will come under innovation support, and that will come off of that scheme. And then the audits and the energy audits, sorry, and the R&D grants and the energy grants, that all comes under de minimis. So basically, the purpose of these two schemes, as like I mentioned earlier, is to prevent any one company from getting any kind of competitive advantage over the rest of the market from a high level of state aid. That allowance is €200,000 over a rolling 3-year period. So obviously, if you get one grant in 3 years' time on the same date, it will drop off. I have heard and seen reports that allowance is going to be drastically increased. We could be looking at anything between €400,000 and €600,000 that's going to be increased to. But looking back over the companies that we've engaged with, especially on the energy side of things, 95% of companies aren't even, they're not aware of this allowance they're entitled to. So the support that's delivered under these projects, they're not even close to making a dent within that allowance. What we need to do is just make sure that we're evidencing that any company going through the journey isn't going to go over that threshold, and therefore the money will be clawed back, which obviously we don't want. We don't ever want that sort of thing to happen. So it's worth mentioning as well that the funding such as Innovate UK, that doesn't come under de minimis or GBA. It's a completely different scheme. So if there's a company that's been awarded $500,000, say for example from Innovate, that won't have any impact on their de minimis.
Okay, that's great, Matt. Do we have any questions from everybody that's watching in at the moment, or wishing to put something into the chat room? Okay, I think the presentations were very clear and succinct. Got over a lot of information there, Matt, you and the team. So if there's no other questions, I can't see any in the WhatsApp group. Just wanted to say thanks very much for your time today, for very professional presentations and information. I know that you've got over 400 members at Cleantech South, so let's hope you get a few more after today and the running the networking events, etc. Any of the team have anything else to add before we wind up this morning's webinar? No? Okay. Well, thanks very much, all of you. Good luck with your studies at the University of Portsmouth and also with your work with Cleantech South. It was a pleasure working with you. Retirement is much more boring without you, so I do miss it. Don't miss some of the rules and regulations, but I do miss the people. So anyway, well, thanks very much, and keep in touch. The next webinar will be early in 2022 on January the 26th, when the Environmental Technology Centre in Southampton will be giving us a presentation on how they help homeowners and people with issues with energy stay warm, etc. during winter, what grants are available there. So that's more aimed at citizens rather than at business, but should be of interest to quite a few of you. So Matt, thanks very much. Thanks, team.